Hi guys, I hope everybody is doing good. And it's been a long time that I did a 9 p.m. live. So I thought I'd bring up a 9 p.m. live, which is something that is very useful for at least one set of people immediately that who are looking for something which I have been intrigued by in the last couple of days. We have been uploading a couple of videos in the last few days, and there have been so many questions about how they are appearing in the exam, which are the subjects that I'm supposed to write, what are the marks that we are talking about to achieve. So there are a lot of questions that have been raised in the recent times. So I thought before I discussed any of those, and even now, those of you who are watching, uh, I will answer all your doubts a little later towards the end of the session. First, I would like to explain certain things specifically about the two subjects that I deal at CA Inter, so that people, I've seen a lot of people take active interest in doing the classes. So I thought I should not delay in doing this again. uh, People will take their own call during the next few days, so which is why in CA Inter, specifically that too now in group 2, for those people who have qualified group 1. Okay, when I say group 2 exam is there in May 24, that means you have qualified group 1, in November 23. So first of all, I would like to congratulate all of those people who have qualified group 1 in November 23, and who are planning to write the exam of group 2 in May 24. There are a lot of people in this category, and the best thing about group 2 exam in May 24 is, though group 2 has 3 papers, okay, group 1 pass outs in May 24 have to write only 2 papers out of that, right? So the 3 papers here would be costing, auditing, financial management, and strategic management, as you guys know. Now, what you guys can also go and see is in the previous video, there have been a lot of people in the comment section asking about what is applicable to me, what should I do, and which is exactly why before going to the planning aspect, I'm discussing this. So you are supposed to first place write only these 2 papers. Okay, for those people who have qualified group 1, only 2 papers of audit and FMSM are applicable. Since you have qualified group 1, costing when it comes to May 24 exams would be exempt for you. Okay, so what you actively have to do right now is to focus only on preparing audit, and then followed by FM and SM. So what I will still do is split that into 3 parts, because we do have the consideration of 3 different subjects. Though FMSM is one paper, it's 2 different subjects altogether, right? So which makes it a very what do you say, embarked combination audit having 100 marks fully. Okay, while FM has 50 marks, and the other 50 marks are there with SM, which means you have to work around 150 marks of reading. I won't call them as theory subjects. Those who have been following me closely, you know how we deal subjects, right? So if there was only theory content and we have to just by heart and redo something, I don't think that's really going to work about, right? So 150 marks of content that is worth doing in terms of reading and doing, while 50 marks of content which is about solving and doing. So this part is all about solving, while the other two, the frameworks of FM, I mean that is SM, and audit, wherein you have about 150 marks of reading and preparing. wherein students in the last couple of days, so many of them have already subscribed to the combo course of audit and SM. Now, what happens here is I would also want to explain on how the combo works, because it is kind of important for everybody to understand whether you are subscribing to that or not. Notwithstanding that, audit is something that we would be doing in about 100 to 110 hours of solid classroom training. Okay, and of course classroom training, and you can as well go with Google Drive and stuff like that. Then SM is about 70 hours. Okay, on the higher side of these two, they come to about 180 hours. Okay, 180 hours of total study coaching time. Okay, this is the study time needed, notwithstanding the revision. Now, when I am making this video, that is when we are live, we are on the 12th of Jan. Okay, 12th of Jan 24, and I do understand there's a festival coming up, so I am also going to discount the next 2 3 days, because I really don't want people to miss fun, right? Because I love flying kites. So if any of you do love doing that, you should be enjoying it during the festival. You can't obviously get stuck with something. We can handle all this study and stuff and everything during that, but what do I consider is that when you can kind of balance between both, that should be great. And I will do a plan for that reason only. So you have a study time requirement of 180 hours, and we'll pull this off. So this is the like when this video is being done, I'm considering that you will start preparing with let us analyze the number of days that we have. Okay, so in Jan, I'm going to give you about 12 days, because I don't want to, like I said, discount the factors and take 12 days from whenever you are starting. I will want you to pull that. Feb has a complete 29 day, this being a leap year. And of course, I'd give you the March with about full 31 days. And we have a solid 30-day timeline in April. Now, this I am considering, of course, since it's only group 2, you will always have the extra cushion. No matter when the exam starts in May, you will still, I'm taking, what do I say? I take about 7 days normally, but this time I can, kind of reduce it, because we are already giving 102 days here. Okay. So I'll just say 3 days in May for being on the safer side. So this total comes down to 105 days, which can stretch up to 110. And this, I am considering that the exams are starting on, like here, my fundamental assumption is exams start as usual on the 2nd May. Now, we all know that this is the year of general elections. There is an additional 2 week scope. Neither the institute has come out and told anything, nor we have any idea about it, so we are not declaring anything. That is exactly why I'm saying start on 2nd May. And since we have only 3 subjects now, 2nd, 4th, and 6th, even if you give these first 6 days to group 1, your group 2 should start. But many of you who are writing group 2 don't have the costing exam. As I told you, it is exempt. So by the time you write the last 2 papers of audit FM, you are still going to solid have about 8 days there. I can even take this to 105 to 110 days actually, notwithstanding the general elections. Now, if general elections are being declared in the same time, and plus 2 weeks, this plus 2 weeks is only a big if a general election date is announced. So for all those people having doubts, because I have prepared a list of few FAQs, what generally have been asked across in the last 2 3 days, that too specifically after the results have come, right? Some people were waiting for the results to come. They immediately subscribed to the class. They've in fact like started installing the apps and started watching the classes also. I actually like that, but again, if they continue to keep the same pace of watching, it will be amazing. Now, for all those people who are contemplating in the first place, do I really have to, take the classes? If group 2 coaching hasn't been done, okay, if group 2 coaching is not done at all, then I 100% suggest you take classes, because you have ample amount of time. What is the time that we're talking about? 110 days. And as far as I know, if I am studying on all these 110 days, which I wouldn't, again, I myself am a person who always believes in balancing both studies and entertainment. So I would still discount off 10 days here, and I'm only finally taking 100 days, right? Wherein I would like you to kind of break these into also parts, because you can't bring that 12-hour active study day on day one. 12-hour active study day will come only in April, when pressure is, built on you. You know where I'm talking about. When pressure for being decent on screen, I will tell you where the pressure is on your throat, but you know where actually the pressure builds up, right? So when the pressure is built up, you will automatically push through to doing whatever you're supposed to do. So there, even if you on an average give me a 8-hour day, look at the amount of discounting I've done festival discounting in Jan. I've given you the whole of Feb, March, and April as it is, and also discounted a little bit in May, and I've exempted overall. Again, I gave you 10 days of unforeseen circumstances break. Apart from all that, you still have, if you really do everything, you have about 800 hours. And I'm talking about the average, because in the beginning I would like you to kind of pull it 6-7 hour active day first week. Second week it has to be, and those who have already attended classes somewhere, those who have already been used to sitting in these classes from morning 7 to evening 5 and all that, you guys shouldn't have a problem in sitting that long at a stretch. But the best part about watching group 2 classes right now, when you're saying there's no special requirement of you traveling and going somewhere, so you can subscribe to all the G Drive classes, sit and watch. Now, sitting and watching is a different experience than in classroom, right? So, if possible, and in your cities and towns, if classes are available face to face, you can always go to that. Or otherwise, G Drive. Now, face to face or online live, what will happen is you are totally dependent on whoever the faculty you're taking the classes with, and if they are going on the pace with what matches your pace, this will all go well. If any delays are there in like things in classes and all that, then better thing is to go for a G Drive class, where you know that already the content is available, and all you need to do is, like, you need to push off. Even in, like, say for example, my audit also about 50 hours are done. Another 50-60 hours, I'm taking a live batch daily, so that will move on to Google Drive. So it is certain that by the 3rd or 5th of Feb, the batch will be done and uploaded. SM is already completed, so if you're watching SM first, you can always push through it. So what we are trying to do here is get this coaching time out for audit and SM. I'm needing from you, as I mentioned in the title, about 180 hours. And FM would roughly again take anywhere between 100 hours. Now this depends. Some people finish it in 90. Some people are going up till 110, 120. So even if it's 100 and 120, I'm still targeting, all I need is 300 hours. Okay. Now if somebody, see, because this is the major scenario I'm dealing with this. I'm considering specifically those people who have passed group 1, where I'm not bringing in costing into the equation. Because if costing is brought into the equation, which will still suffice, because we did now pull off 800 hours as our total available hours, only 8 hours per day as productive time, with ample breaks and time for scrolling reels on Instagram, or having your WhatsApp chats on. All that is very much there. All we are looking at is 300 hours of classroom coaching time, which means you have to dedicatedly sit across the next 2 months. And I don't even want you to do this in the month of April, which we can, if immediately, if you start somewhere on the 18th or 19th of Jan and go by, or even by the 20th of Jan, if you buy classes and start by, you can safely pull off this. And since I don't actually deal FM directly, and I'm considering this, even if you're doing all three, you do one subject in the morning. Now, when I say morning, you need not get up at, what do you say, like 6 o'clock in the morning and just say, I'm going to go for a class and do it. You don't even have to do that, right? Because I'm taking live classes, so I know how hard it is for people to come at 6:30, 7 in the morning and sit through all day. And that is where the best part is about going for G Drive class, where you can do these in slots, and definitely you'll be able to complete each and every class, which, like I said, enthusiastic people have started watching also in the last 2 days after buying it. Okay, so if costing comes into the equation, then like, this is for somebody who has written the exam of like, who has only group 2 pending. But most people who have qualified group 1, like if you have group 1 and group 2 coaching, then that's where costing comes into the equation. Otherwise, for who group 1 qualified, as I mentioned, then this is more than enough. So what you do is, you will start with one subject in the morning, right, where you'd have a 2.5-hour time slot. Okay, then you would have an ample amount of break. You have another 2-hour slot, and what I need for the third one is another 2.5-hour slot. Now, apart from this, since 7.5 hours are done, at the end of every session, I would want you to use 10 minutes for summarizing the stuff. Now, see, a particular session, we capped it at 2.5. On that day, probably that session might be only 2 hours, 20 minutes, right? It need not be 2 hour 30. So you can use the extra time. Someday it will be 2 hour 40. So you understand how I'm balancing it, right? And the end of every session, I need you to pull off 10 minutes to just have an overview and run through what happened in the session. And while you do sessions of audit, because in FM I am not really worried, because you are anyway solving problems. But when you do an audit or an SM session like this, we need to make up what are called as summary notes. These are not something that people tell you today. Like, I'm a little old school here when it comes to making summary notes. I prefer handwritten summary notes. Many people have these on-screen PDF. Even I, in my G Drive class, give you the on-screen PDF. And some students have the habit of taking a printout of that, or they do this color printing of all of that and run through it. It will help only when you know the content and you're able to revise, but there is no substitute for making a summary notes when you're watching the class on screen. So it shouldn't be like you're watching a movie, like, put that on screen and just listen to that. Then it will bring a lot of monotony. So avoid random listening. That's called random listening. When somebody is teaching, they're just listening. Right. Okay. You can do that for a YouTube video. Probably, the few number of people who are watching now, you might actively be listening to what I'm saying. Right. That's all. You don't really have to have a notes or write down. But classes are not like that. It's better when done and it has a summary notes then and there. And if you do this, in over about 45 days, you should be done with audit. Right. In over the next 30 days, you should be done with SM. And in the next, very say, let's again 35 days, you should be done with FM. Now you count for the time requirement that I've asked you. So what I told you is, my audit is about 110 hours. So 45 days into 2.5 hours will absolutely get through to that 110 hours easily. Then again, SM gets you to this probably 35 to 40, we'll say, getting you to that 100 hours. And this one, 30 days of 2.5 hours is bang on, more than enough to complete my SM in one. The sessions are also lined up on 32 days. So easily somebody can finish. Okay, so considering this, even if you're starting on 20th Jan or any time later, if you are doing 3 subjects parallelly, I'm telling you, what you will need is a 45-day window to finish classes. Now, this should not, I don't know how many of you have done all these analysis and will it really work? Only 2 subjects are there, because many of you should understand, you have 2 subjects, which means you have to get 100 marks. 2 subjects, I mean, in which I don't know how many of you know this, but please inform your friends also if you've seen it till here. 2 subjects wherein you have to get 40 marks in each and 50% as aggregate. 50% aggregate translates to 100 marks. Now, whether you get 60, 40, or that's where FM comes into the game. There is a possibility of scoring 45 out of 50 also in SM if you're doing considerably well, right? No matter how good sometimes you write an audit in SM, things can slightly go haywire, which is not happening today because audit has a solid 44 marks of, very scoring 30 marks of MCQs and the 14 marks of true or false. It's like you can grab them. Out of the 44, if you prepare well and go, 30 to 32 marks are damn simple because every time 20 marks of MCQs are there for everybody, and that true or false, at least 4 out of those 7 are there for everybody. So which means about 28 to 30 marks out of the 44, any student who had a decent preparation, who had watched all these classes with concentration, can pull off that. If somebody is failing in audit or SM, it is purely because their writing's being bad. If you have done the classes, now I'm not saying that I'm escaping on that, but how is that the scorings are, and today people are getting 80 plus marks in audit, and that is definitely thanks to the first 35-40 marks coming from this section. In the balance 56 marks where you have to write answers, there is a lot that goes into paragraph, presentation, point wise, and all of that. So anyway, I will be making videos later on how to grab marks from MCQs, how to specifically write true or false. We're going to make a specific video on that, how to actually present in the exams. But all these can be done only when you're well prepared in the subject. So those of you who are in clear mind and who want to really start off this afresh, you can definitely go by this particular plan. It is very, very, very achievable to complete the coaching of both these subjects, even if you are now going to start from scratch, right? Start from zero, start from basic, and go up till there. It is definitely possible, right? So for somebody who has asked me on the live chat, I guess it is Om Chaudhary, to respond to that. This is exactly what I want all of you to know. I will also cut this small piece once the video is up, and I will also share it in shorts and Instagram, because this is something that I have been bombarded with in the last couple of days. Okay, so uh, two subjects, 40 marks each, 50% aggregate, which means the total of 60-40 in any combination, 42-58, 60-40, right? But 60-40 is the only loop on either sides, right? You get a 55-45, split is fine. Yours, sir, I will get a 120. I'm amazed. If you want to get 120, it's crazy. You can always do that. Now, this is the first part of doing so. So if that is the case and that is what you are interested in, you can always reach out to me on what this combos. Once the video is live is done, in the description, I will give you details on how to reach us on Instagram, Telegram, and all the class details will be given. Those interested, now if this was only about selling the course, I would have told that in the first 2 minutes. There is no necessity for doing this video, so please understand, this is purely out of course we are making the course available, so there is no harm in me telling you that the combo is available. So you can always reach out to us if you are somebody who wants that combo. If you've already taken it from somewhere or planning to take elsewhere, it is good. Keep what I told you in mind. Then the next part is, how do I conquer my revision? I will specifically be talking about revision in greater detail later, but for now, what I want you to do is this 30 minutes daily that you revise. Okay, 30 minutes daily on the day of classes, because I asked you for only 7 hours, right? 2.5 hours of 3, 7.5 plus this half hour is 8 hours. Slowly, when you increase, because you can't keep doing 8 hours only till the end. Slowly, when pressure piles up, you can slowly, and I mean, slowly means in about a week time, 10 days time, you can start slowly increasing, make 8, 9. So all of that in the, like first 2 weeks to get into the groove. If you get an 8-hour day, it'll be good. 8-hour day, which includes 7.5 hours of class and 30 minutes of revision. Slowly what has to happen is this has to go to 9 hours. where this will still remain 7.5 hours, but this time will be 1.5 hours. Now, what happens here is whatever you have translated into smaller portions of note summary notes, which I asked you to, that brings the greater amount of confidence. Like if you're sticking to what I'm saying, uh, you know, it can straight away go up to you reaching this 10-hour goal in the next 1 month time, wherein you don't really know what it goes into. 7.5 hours plus 2.5 hours of, I think if you can limit it there and slowly push, to 12 hours later in, April also, if you can pull off to 12 hours, which is like a tough task, because by then, what is happening here? By then, what I'm saying is all this coaching time will be done. You are actively having 12 hours for revision. Now, just imagine how much of work you could do. Okay. I think I have been clear enough in putting out these things, which generally on what all he will generally is being asked with me. If there are any more doubts in this regard, I think because I've done my part of the half an hour's time. So if you guys have any more doubts apart from coaching and revision, because presentation, writing exam, the other subject-wise strategy, separate videos are going to come. So other than that, if there is anything, you can probably ask me now. Now is a time where you can reach out to me. I am going to answer comments that are being asked in the live session.